questions answered for West Coast Swing.
What's up, everybody? Benji Blue Shoes here with
Miss Megan.
And we're going to be covering some questions that you all have sent in this week.
And actually, we're going to bring them up here close to us.
Hey!
Or closer to us.
It's back to just Megan and I in here. So just us and the computer. Somebody was nervous about us having the computer up on a box of tissues on a table. So we've moved to putting it in what we call the captain's chair. Let me know if this makes you more or less nervous, Dave Killian. Be good to know.
All right, for our first question.
First question
You can read that?
Yeah, I have my contacts in.
I'm blind.
Yes, you are. There's a couple of different parts in this, and the first part is, do you ever come across people who enjoy attending West Coast swing lessons, but don't enjoy social dancing?
For two different reasons, yes. I am not the biggest fan of social dancing unless I'm in the mood to do so, but I don't think that is what your question was for.
Just addressing that part of it, yes, there are some people who just love to learn, and they don't necessarily love the act of putting in the work to make it happen, if that makes sense. So there's
some people also just don't like being in a big crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Some people, I know personally for me, there is a limit to the number of people who are on the floor. Once it passes that limit, I won't dance on that floor because I like to have, the way I've heard it, on typical floors, you can have a lot of 4x4 boards is what you'll get. And typically, you want to have 2 boards lengthwise that you're able to dance in. And if I don't have that much space, I don't like to dance just because there's not enough room to actually dance. I don't enjoy social dancing whenever I'm running into people. Whenever I have room to dance, though, I love to social dance. Mm-hmm. The next part of the question was,
you need it?
Whenever I start to social dance as a leader, I find myself getting disappointed and disheartened early or very quickly because of my repertoire. Let me tell you, this is something that we all face. It is a very common plight
not
for
followers.
Leaders. Sorry, yes, for leaders. Follows, not quite so much. And the reason why for leaders is because we can typically only keep 6 to 7, maybe 8 things in our head at any given time. And so what we have to do is we have to learn how to keep multiple patterns in our heads or how to change the way that we think about dancing and patterns. So a couple of different things you can do on that. The first thing you can do is you can go to westcoastswingonline.com or you can go to Google and type in how to remember your patterns, West Coast Swing, and it should pop up. And there is a blog post that Brian has that will help you go through the 5 different things that you can do to remember your patterns. The thing that I like to do is I'd like to try to get past patterns to where I'm not thinking about, am I doing a right side pass or a whip with an outside turn or a hustle whip with an inside turn? I like to not do that to where I'm thinking about how the patterns actually flow together. And that helps with the repertoire part of it because that really expands what we have. So, Miss Megan, if I can steal you real quick.
Yes, of course.
So, if we talk about just a right side pass, within a right side pass, there's a lot of things that I can do in order to make it different. So we can do our basic right side pass. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. I can come through my right side pass. I can go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I can under-rotate myself. And then I can groove myself out, send myself to the other side of the slot. Looks like a completely different pattern, but it's just a right side pass. And
notice that this has not changed, so the follower can either play off of that or they can just do their own thing.
Correct. And so this, if I knew something was happening in the music, puts me in a good spot to bring my follow through to a hit. So that's all within a right side pass, but what we tend to do when we're first starting is we tend to go, oh, that's right. We tend to go 1, 2, okay, I'm doing a right side pass, and I need to dance myself to the other side, and now I have to be ready to come through and get to a hit. And we think of that as one pattern, because that's what we learned in the workshop. And then we say, okay, that's one thing. All right, now I have to think through, okay, now I have my sugar push, that's my other pattern, awesome. And then we come back through and like, oh, and then there's this like other really cool thing that I can do off a right side pass and come through, right? There's all these cool things that we can do, but we tend to think of them as one pattern instead of both the things I just did are actually off the same principle of rotating my anchor. So as I come through 2, 3, and 4, I can rotate my anchor open, or on 4, I can rotate my anchor all the way around. But all I'm doing is playing with the concept of rotating my anchor. And so I try to, in order to not get bored with my repertoire, I try to play with different concepts and apply them to the patterns that I know, because there's really only 6 patterns, right? And they can all be broken down into push, passes, and whips. So outside of that, we're just making stuff up as we go, and that's part of the fun of West Coast swing, is picking something. Do you want to rotate your anchors? Do you want to do over rotations? Do you want to do rock and goes? And figuring out how you can make that match the music. But I 100% understand for a very long time, I had 6 or 7 patterns, and I tend to get stuck on a concept. You can ask Megan, I love my over rotations.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do.
But, and whenever we're dancing, dance after dance, we're doing the same 6, 7, 8 things every single dance. And the follows have the benefit of being able to dance my 6 or 7 patterns, and then they go to the next guy and they dance his 6 or 7 patterns, and then they go to the next guy and dance his 6 or 7 patterns, so it feels like a completely different dance. To where us as a leader, we're like, I'm doing the same thing all night. So it's kind of my thoughts on that, on how not to get bored, is to try and think in a little bit higher level and get ourselves out of, okay, I'm doing a right side pass, I'm doing a whip with an outside turn, to am I doing whips in general? Or am I doing whips with turns in general? And then I try to do a few dances with those, and then I decide some other concept that I want to dance through for the next couple of dances. And then I go from there.
Cool.
All right. The next thing, we had a hustle video that went out yesterday.
Hey, hustle. Everybody loves hustle,
Woo!
so we will try to do more.
Yes, but there was a question regarding the off-time comment of the dance. So most of our dances go straight time 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they work in a way that is divisible by the number of beats in the measure. And what I mean by that is if you're doing West Coast swing, it's working in 2-count patterns or 2-count increments, and that goes into 8. But hustle is a 3-count pattern. We go
to an 8-beat song.
Yes, we go. Well, you shouldn't be dancing West Coast swing to waltz music, but you can, I guess. So we go and 1, 2, 3, and then we and 1, 2, 3 again. But the music goes and 4, 5, 6, and then the music goes and 7, 1, 2. And so what we mean by off time is it doesn't really match what we're doing with the music, because hustle the entire time goes and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, or and 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 1. And so for a lot of people, whenever they first start hustle, because it works in 3-count increments, and 3 doesn't go into 8 in any way, shape, form, or fashion evenly. All my math nerds out there who like their remainders, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so if you were learning a dance like rumba, rumba's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it equals 8 or 4 to a 4, 8-count music. Hustle is not that way. It is a 3-count pattern to a 4 or 8-count music.
Yes, and so that's what we mean by saying it's off time.
We can talk about it, we just can't play music.
Yes. So for the next question, it's somebody saying that they had trouble identifying when to come in or when the first beat is for a song, and how do they start with that whenever they're dancing. So.
Oh, you want me to explain it?
So there's a few different things that you can do with this. If we're starting in West Coast swings, what I'm going to assume that we're talking about, probably starting in close, and we're probably doing some sort of a starter step. So whether that's we're just swaying back and forth, and then we're moving, or we're doing an actual starter step, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Either way, the question is, how do I know when to do whatever it is I'm doing?
I think the question was, how do they know where the first beat of the music is?
Yes.
So if they were listening to a piece of music, I don't think they can pick up on the beat.
Oh, that's a completely different question.
Here's how I'm going to tell you how to practice this. It would be way easier if I could show you it with music right now, but we have some music issues to contend with. But what I tell my students, and counting music did not come naturally to me, so I had to work at this. When you put the music on, don't try to start with the first beat. It is just too hard to do that. You want to start feeling, I think they're actually upbeats, but they sound like downbeats. Brian did a whole thing to this, but the heavier sounding beat is the one you want to pick up on. So that's going to be your 2, 4, 6, and 8, I think. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. I could be wrong about that, though.
If it's swung, yes.
Either way, you're going to find that heavier beat and latch onto that. The other thing that I was told was when a singer starts singing, that's almost always, not all the time, but almost always that is on a count 1. Mm-hmm. So it's not chorus, their verse will start on count 1.
Actually, they both will.
Yeah, I know. A chorus really should start on count 1. Also, they might also start on count 5. Either way, you can start from 1 or 5 on those beats too. But I tell my students to turn a piece of music on in the car, whatever you like to listen to, and just try to find the beat. Once you find that beat, you're going to get better at finding it closer and closer to the beginning of the song.
Yes. A couple of different things that you're listening to from a band nerd's music theory classes.
Well, yeah, you should be talking about this.
You're primarily listening, in pop music, you're primarily listening for the drum or the hi-hat in the background. So there should be some driving thing that's hitting over and over. And you should be able to hear that in the background, and that's what you're listening for. Once you get used to hearing that, and that's what Megan's talking about, finding that beat, once you get used to hearing that in the background, what you're going to do is you're going to listen for when things change. So in music, we have our measures, which measures usually turn our 4 counts, and then you have 8 counts within that, or they go out to 8 counts, but then you combine your 8 counts into 32 count phrases typically, 16 count minor phrases, 32 count overall or major phrases. And then from there, you are able to paste that together. And what tends to happen within music, can you not see me?
No, you're just, I'm going to fix it a little bit.
From there, what we tend to be able to do is we tend to be able to figure out whenever we go from a verse to a chorus, that is where a phrase change happens. And that's what you're listening for. So you're wanting to figure out, like Megan was saying, where they go from a verse to a chorus. You'll be able to hear typically there's some sort of an instrument that's added or an instrument that's taken away in a lot of pop music. Or they'll change the beat in the background. And so you're listening for those changes. And as you do it more and you're more conscious about it, then that will be something that you'll be able to catch on to quicker. But at the beginning, all that you're trying to do is figure out where the beat is. Because if you can't figure out where the beat is, then the rest of it doesn't matter.
And then to Ben's point as far as how to start to it, it's totally okay for you to sway until you have the rhythm, and your partner might help you with that too. And then you could start your starter step when you're ready. Obviously, I'm not the leader. He should be leading that. But anyway.
Yep. Notice one thing Megan and I were both doing when we were doing this. We were swaying, but we were going sway, point, or step, tap, step, tap. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in order to find the beat. Cool. Do we have any other questions?
We do. We had 2 come in.
Oh.
Since we were just recently on Hustle, I want to do this one first.
Okay.
So,
look at you being me. Organizing the questions.
The question was, as far as for Hustle, the footwork looks flat. So I think we've gone over this in a few other videos. There is no dance that has flat feet. Literally none.
Should always
they
be rolling.
might look flat, but it's because more advanced dancers are going to have more precision. Like I can start on the whole ball of my foot and roll through the rest of my foot, even if it's closer to the ground. I know exactly how to roll through my foot. It's not necessarily always going to look completely toe to heel or heel to toe. Mm-hmm. So it might look more flat if you're looking at it on a video or maybe what we do. But it's definitely not flat.
The other
You're
part
still
of,
rolling.
Yeah, the other part of that is more advanced dancers are able to get their foot to the floor quicker, so you have less time to see the roll through the foot. So as we're going through, if we just do a basic sugar push as we're moving through this, you'll see somebody who first starts dancing as a leader, they're going to go 1, 2, 3, and
rolling?
4. Yeah, we're rolling. So they're rolling through their foot. They know they're supposed to do that. But do you see how high up everything is for me and how long it takes for my foot to get to the floor? To where somebody who's been dancing for a while, it's all going to stay lower. I'm still rolling through everything. You just don't have as much time to see it. Because A, I'm able to stay lower, and B, I'm able to have my foot get to the floor quicker.
And in Hustle, it's the exact same way.
Yep.
And I'm not the hustle expert here, but
Hustle queen.
as a rule, I feel actually way higher on my feet. I'm not necessarily going to roll all the way back to my heel, but I am rolling through my toe through about at least halfway through my foot.
Yeah, the first part of it's like a ball change. So you're doing a ball step, 2, 3, ball step, 2, 3. Kind of like the footwork for an East Coast swing rock step without doing all the work in the upper body.
It might look flat when you see someone rock and come back, especially if they lift their foot off the floor. It might look flat coming back down, but they're still coming down through their toe and onto their foot.
Yep, and we're also cheating because while we might lift the foot up, really, we still have quite a bit of pressure in that front leg. I'm still, if you notice, watch my upper body as I do this. Jump, doesn't move. Megan's body doesn't move. If we were switching our weight all the way back, we'd go away and forward.
Sorry.
But we're not doing that.
But every dance that you do, you should be rolling through your feet in one fashion or another.
Yes, always.
Next question.
Next question.
Should be right above it.
The basic for nightclub 2 is toe for step and ball heel for rock step.
There was slightly a clarification for that.
Hang on.
I don't know. Somewhere in there. I might be wrong. Maybe there wasn't.
So yeah, the basic footwork for nightclub 2-step is toe for step and then ball heel for the rock step. So as we're doing our basic.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming you're meaning after we get through the first part of our basic. So if we just go slow. So from here, do you go ball heel for the rock step, and then do you do your toe here?
I'm just going to talk about what I do.
Yes.
So leaders and followers, this will be the same for both of us. For our, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, guys. Words do not happen well for me. Okay, so if we were going to go sideways for our slow, the toe initiates that, and I'm rolling onto my heel. Same thing here, toe to heel, toe to heel, toe to heel. The only dance that, before I actually say this, I want to say the only dance that I actually roll heel to toe for a good number of things is waltz. I have a tendency to do toe to heel for West Coast too, but it is totally okay to do heel to toe for the followers. Yep. Leaders don't have a whole lot of forward steps in neck.
Not too many. Typically they're heel to toe.
But as a rule, everything is going to be toe to heel in nightclub because you want to feel where you're going on the floor. It'd be really hard to... The forward one, some people heel lead, some people don't, but it really doesn't need to be.
Yep. The only difference for me is if you're taking really big steps for your forward step, it almost has to be a heel. And the reason for that is because...
I think the other way around.
Well, the reason why is we're doing an inside turn. If we're wanting to keep ourselves back and we're wanting to stretch to move forward through this...
Oh, see, I do it the other way.
I'm wanting to keep...
With the toe.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to keep my head backwards, and the way that I do that is by stretching through this in order to get the toe forwards, and then I can roll through the whole foot.
I do it opposite. I do that.
So there
Same
you go.
thing with the toe.
There you go.
But overall, toe to heels.
Toe to heel. Yeah.
Let's see if we have any other questions.
Oh, there was one on Facebook. If you scroll back.
Okay.
That's YouTube.
I know.
YouTube.
Okay, there you go. Do your thing.
Thanks. From Gordon on Facebook, how long should I stay in the starter step before I send out to start the move?
Not long.
Not long.
It's understandable if you can't find the beat to the song, but after, let's say at
8
least...
counts.
Yeah.
That's your max.
Or really 8 sways. Just pretend like you know where that count is and go for it.
Yes. You'll see pros do some really fun stuff where they stay in close and it looks like they're still in their starter step. So they'll come through and then they'll do like a hut-dum bum kind of deal. But that's different. You're kind of out of your starter step at that point. You're just in close dancing. So you get it.
Yeah, as a rule, if you're gonna, whatever you do before your starter sway, that's up to you. Especially if you're standing still, don't wait too long. If you can hear the beat, I would only sway a couple times and then go into your starter step, whichever starter step you might like.
During nightclub two-step, going back to nightclub two-step, is our knee slightly bent while we're dancing the dance?
Socially, it really doesn't matter. If you're competing or you want to be more technically correct, yes, you want a slight bend in your knees to a good size bend in your knees.
What I will warn for leaders is we want to have a soft knee. I warn people against thinking about a bent knee. And the reason that I say that is because
it needs to be pliable.
It needs to be pliable, yes. We always, whenever we're moving to a foot, we want the leg to be straight as we're moving to it. As soon as we put weight on it, it bends. What we tend to do whenever we think about having bent knees is we tend to dance like this. And then we're squatting the whole dance.
And then this happens.
Yep, and it's not good. So the rule of thumb in nightclub is whenever you put weight or whenever you're going to the leg, it's going to be straight. As soon as that snaps to the floor, you're going to bend the knee and you're going to have a soft knee. It has to be pliable, but don't think about bent like you're squatting because that's not going to be a good look, especially if you're taller. What other questions do we have?
I don't think we have any. We already
All
did
right.
that, yeah?
Yeah, we already did those. Perfect. All right, give you all just a couple more seconds. If you have any more questions, send them our way.
While we're doing that, this is coming to you from westcoastswingonline.com. So if you aren't already a member to our site, you should head on over there and get yourself a free membership. We have about 50 free videos for you to watch. We have got West Coast, two-step, cha-cha, East Coast, and we've got more to come. Super fun videos. And then if you're not on our email list, all you have to do is, again, go over to the site, put your email in, and that'll kick you onto our list for our emails that you're going to get every other week or thereabouts.
Yep. And then the only other thing, we don't have any more questions, but tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Actually, let's back up that a little bit. We only have the live chat with Jonathan Baumeister tomorrow. We do not have a class tomorrow. Okay? So tune in at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Jonathan and I are going to be talking. Jonathan's been in the dance scene for years. He's been in and competed in the West Coast swing scene for a long time, the country scene. As I said, he's been a competitor, he's been a professional dancer, and he's been a DJ around the scenes for a very long time as well. So he has a ton of knowledge that will be very fun to talk through about how all the COVID-19 things have impacted him and what his plan is to get back on his feet dance-wise once all this wraps up. And then also, one other thing, he goes with us on our cruises too.
Yay!
He's one of our cruise DJs. So as I said, he has a lot of knowledge. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. And I know he is too. He's been asking me about it all week. So definitely tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not sure what Megan's doing, so I'm just going to stand here and look pretty. Oh, okay. T-shirts!
T-shirts! So this is my awesome Get Connected t-shirt. You know how I'm always, for West Coast Swing, talking about Get Connected? Oh, you can't read this? Can you now? There we go. So Get Connected. There's also a Got Connection ? T-shirt. Emily spent a lot of time making these up. They're awesome. If you're interested, go on over to YouTube. Underneath the video, there's a list, a thing of, you can see the t-shirts. Click on it, and you can look through all our awesome t-shirts.
Yes. We did have one other question. How much taller am I than Megan?
Oh, dear God. I'm 5'5". I'm a little taller than 5'5".
I'm about a foot taller than Megan. I'm 6'4" without my heels on. My best shoes that I have, my best professional looking shoes that don't have holes in them because I haven't worn them all the time, are my boots. So I have an extra 3/4 of an inch from that. So I'm right about 6'5" right now.
Really tall.
So a lot taller than Megan.
So when we do this,
Megan disappears. That's part of the reason this actually adds some good context whenever we're talking about things and I say I don't go over my head that often. Because if we go back to our two-step video, as we're coming through, that's the wrong way, sorry. as we're coming through, Megan has to like go up, way up in order to get there, even with me helping.
There's a move in West Coast that I literally sometimes.
It's a flyby.
Oh no.
It looks like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7.
I actually
and
go
8.
up on my toe to get over his head.
From the other side so you can see it. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So,
depending on how far away he is from me, it gets really hard to reach.
So I, as a rule, don't go over my head that much. So, height
So Ben
is a
is
thing.
your expert in if you're tall and your partner is not. So hopefully we will be back on the floor soon, and I hope to see you on a dance floor soon.
Oh, I have to go press the button.